Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another One Piece review. For the YouTube audience, this is the first time. We did it last week on Twitch. We're test running a couple things, but I'm excited to be here to review One Piece chapter 1001 or 1002. I'm tripping. Joined as always by my One Piece compadre, Mr. Christian Hollinger. How are you doing today, sir?
Doing well. How are y'all?
Can't complain, man. Can't complain at all. You know, it's a great week for manga, just in general. I don't know if you read any other Shonen Jump, but like,
yes, I do.
JJK was crazy. Black Clover was great.
Yep.
My Hero?
Yeah.
Yeah. Not too sure what they're doing, but I'm interested. We get some Hawks backstory, you know. I was like, my whole thing with My Hero, and this is not a My Hero review. I thought we were about to go inside of Deku's mind. Like, let's get the Vid Stitch stuff, that type of shit.
Yep. I thought so too.
And I don't know where he's going with this Hulk. I guess we're gonna get Endeavor out the way first.
Yeah, that's the way it seems to be going at the moment.
Yeah, so, but like I said, this is not My Hero talk, even though JJK with that dude coming back, like, I don't know. Shit's about
pressure.
Yeah, big time. But let's talk One Piece chapter 1002.
Yeah.
This one was a continuation of the battle of Big Mom Kaido versus the Supernova. It was titled Yonko versus the New Generation. We saw basically Luffy getting off 3 attacks, essentially this one with the Kong rifle, the Reno Schneider, and then the Gatling at the end. We saw Kid do the Punk Gibson. We see
very nice.
Yep. We saw Law get the Gamma Knife in.
Yep.
We saw Killer do his Sound of Scythe attack in there. Zoro didn't get an attack off, but he saved Luffy from Big Mom doing the Kinemon thing again. And then we got to see a taste of Enma's wrath. I'm gonna let you get into that in a little bit, but we got to see that he breaks the mountain, and then we see pretty much after all those attacks, it's just the Big Mom show. She's just lightning bolt, like Oprah. You get a lightning bolt. You get a lightning bolt.
Let me see. What did she call that? I know we're gonna get to it, but she gave it a
there was
name. You have Indra,
yep.
And then she called it
Tenjin something.
Yes. I was like, yo, like, we're gonna get into this later, but Zeus was looking right. Like, oh my God.
Made
Zeus
it look like Nami. Made it look like Nami didn't know what she was doing with him.
Oh, without a doubt, she didn't know what she was doing. But I'm saying, like, Zeus had me feeling like Enel was back. Like Big Mom literally just has a cloud of Enel whenever she needs it. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's super nuts. And then Luffy basically does the I'm rubber thing. But while Tenjin's going on, Killer gets struck, Zoro gets struck. Kid blocks it for a little bit, but then we see each individual lightning bolt is a homie, so it went past his like metal shield, strikes him. And I don't know if Law dodged or if it exploded right as he was dodging. I don't know but Law got I'm assuming Law got hit.
He probably got hit because it did kind of look like he got hit, and I think that the point of it was that Big Mom tagged pretty much everyone.
Yep.
Now, I mean, in the anime, I think they're gonna extrapolate a little bit more. I think Law did like neg most of the damage. He probably like teleported out there at like the tail end of that attack, but I think he did get tagged a little bit.
Law and Kid got the least amount of it, whereas Killer and Zoro, that was just straight on.
I mean, right on. You saw the lightning bolt. You saw them get literally fried. It's
not looking good for your boy.
It's not, but I think every Zoro fan has been waiting for him to get his ass whooped.
Yep, so he could come back stronger.
Oh, yes. Like, I'm not saying there's going to be another nothing happened moment, but I would not be surprised if Zoro's, like, really messed up, but he's still standing up. He's like, God damn, that hurt.
Or I get, like, another version of Inaru striking him in Skypiea. Could be something like that. Either way, but, like...
that's what I saw.
Yeah.
That's what I saw.
Luffy tanks it, of course, I'm rubber. And then we see I'm interested. We'll start like the open conversation because this is the last little bit of like just reviewing like what happened. But Luffy tanks the Boro breath and just like guts, and then unleashes a ultimate Gatling, King Kong Gatling on him. Yeah. How did you feel about that? Because I saw the community was very mixed on Luffy tanking that fire. Should he have been more damaged? Should that have been possible?
I feel like he should have been at least a little bit more damaged because we've seen Luffy before, even in filler.
Get burned.
So he gets burned, or heat definitely affects him. So, there's already a lot of flame-based or heat-based devil fruits. You've got Oven, who, is heat-based. You have Akainu's lava-based. You've got Ace/Sabo's fire-based. Marco, I'm pretty sure his flames are special, but that's still fire-based. And then you've got this one thing that I remember. Again, it's filler. I don't remember this guy's name, but like his ability is basically the same as Oven's. I think this is back when they stole the Straw Hat's flag, and Luffy straight up like hit him and just said like, I'm gonna take the damage anyway, because the dude could like heat himself up to like 10,000 degrees. And when Luffy hit him with just guts, he dealt with the pain, but his hands were swollen and he was like, this really hurts. So it's not like Luffy has flame resistance. Mm-hmm. Then you think about Rubber. Rubber doesn't have flame resistance. So I think I'm not disappointed that he tanked it, but seeing like it almost had the same lack of effect as Indra on him kind of was like, that's kind of odd. And it kind of defeats the purpose of why did Zoro cut Blast Breath if he could just take it anyway? Like we know he could cut fire because he proved it with Prometheus last chapter. And I mean, obviously it's cool, but like you have Zoro tell Law, hey, put me up there, goes up there, he cuts it. A couple of panels later, Luffy's like, oh, well, I'm just going to eat this and keep moving. So to me, it was kind of weird that he didn't get a little bit more damaged, but overall...
I attribute it to being like what you said, how Luffy's experienced that pain before, and now with like Gear 4th being super stronger. That's the only way I can explain it to myself, like logically. So I'm just rolling with the punches. Now
that, and then here's another explanation. This is of course headcanon, but Luffy being someone who quickly adapts and learns things, Rio in and of itself is, or at least his mastery of Rio allows him to use that hockey that's around his body that he normally wouldn't use. And Rayleigh called it a hockey of armor almost. Yeah. So it's very possible that what happened is that Luffy is still, constantly using Rio, which armored him even more than Gear 4. Gear 4 just being essentially, armament hockey. If he's fusing that with Rio, then he also has, armor. I'm not saying it's like Kaido or Big Mom's, autonomous armor, but it's very possible to say that Luffy's defenses have skyrocketed.
I agree with that. The question then becomes, let's just stick on Luffy real quick before we switch to other people. How much longer does Gear 4 last? And granted, I assume he's pushed forward the time of 10 minutes, but like you just said, if he's constantly using Rio, that must drain it as well. How many more chapters do you see Luffy like actually being able to be full Gear 4th on?
It depends on how he uses it. So this is something that when I first saw Gear 4, I immediately said, like, Luffy has to get to a point eventually where he can use Gear 4 either like on a portion of his body, or he has to be able to use it more efficiently. So, if you look at some of the precedent set by Luffy's other gears, when Luffy goes Gear 2nd for the first time, we remember he goes into that iconic pose and he pumps blood throughout his entire body. Even if he wants to throw a punch, he has to pump blood and he has to essentially use the gear throughout his entire body. We saw almost immediately after the post-time skip, Luffy was capable of, if he wanted to throw like a jet pistol with Gear 2nd, he could use Gear 2nd just on his arm. He didn't have to go through that whole pose and pump his whole body. The same thing with Gear 3rd. There was a portion where Luffy would blow into his hand. You would see the air move through his legs, other places, and finally he'd get it where he wanted it to throw a punch. Now he can,
and without turning into a baby. That's another thing.
Without, exactly. So the side effects as Luffy gets more comfortable with his gear seem to diminish, and it seems as though Luffy earlier, tapped into Gear 4 and then tapped out. So if he's using that incrementally, then he can continue to use it. But if he stays in Gear 4, there's no doubt that he's going to be draining his haki. Now, again, I'm giving a lot of credit to Rio and his development because, again, that is using the haki that he usually doesn't use. So if he is being more efficient by using Rio rather than, I guess, his internal haki, then I do feel like he can prolong this. And I do get the sense that he's gotten a whole lot more comfortable with Gear 4. But you asked how many more chapters? As of right now, I don't see Luffy exiting Gear 4 anytime soon. So I'm thinking maybe 2 more chapters. And that's if Kaido and Big Mom don't pull something where, Luffy takes a lot of damage.
That's a fact. Because especially since everybody got struck by injury, we don't know in Tenjin, we don't know how they get back from that. Another thing that I'm thinking, we haven't seen Snake Man yet. And that's what little things like that tells me this battle's not even close to being done.
Not nowhere near close. We're not even to the halfway point, in my opinion. Like, I know some people are thinking Kaido probably doesn't have a hybrid form, but
that's what I'm waiting to see.
I think he has a hybrid form. So I think this is a whole nother level. Kaido is not even there yet. Again, as I was reading the chapter, Law, Luffy, Zoro, Killer, Kid, they all found ways to damage Kaido. And whether you read the unofficial or the official, the feeling that I got was Kaido was like, okay, so you guys found out like my resistance and y'all found a way around that. So what? It's like, that's not really the end all. He's kind of like, okay, you're a little bit better than I thought. So I don't really get the sense that Kaido's panicking that much yet. Now, when I get to, the Zoro portion, I do think that there was some panic there for a second. But again, that's also trauma with Oden to a degree. I mean, we saw Kaido act that way when the Scabbards were attacking him. He kind of like froze and freaked out. So I don't think we're anywhere near close.
We can transition to that because I think the only 2 times Kaido panicked, and I agree with you, I think Zoro was more because the samurai, he never was really like scared of them. It was more so like, why is Oden stuff coming off of them? I guess they can damage me, whatever. I can still kick their ass. With Zoro, it was like, whoa, okay, wait, this dude's pretty strong. And then the other time was when he compared Luffy to Shanks, Oden, Whitebeard, and those dudes. So like...
On that one, though, if you notice, Kaido is smiling. So I think that, we all know that we have very strong competitors, people who enjoy a good fight. So I do think that he was frightened at Luffy's growth, but I think that also reassured him. He's like, hell yeah, this is going to be a good fight.
Yep.
When he used that Thunder Bagua and Luffy, he still got tagged, but he dodged most of the damage. He was like, good on you. You're not going to get taken out by the same attack. So he does seem to be a little bit excited about that. So I am pleased to see that Kaido's competitive spirit is there. He's not just some suicidal guy who's like, oh, you guys can hurt me. Please do it.
No,
like,
100%.
Oh, it's going to be a battle now.
It's going to be, I can have fun for the first time in a while. Yeah, no, for sure. I think the final thing I have about Luffy before we move to someone else is, like we said, we haven't seen Snake Man yet. We're halfway there. Oh, yeah. Does this, and not even halfway there, do we think we see a new gear from Luffy in this arc of Wano?
That's tough. Luffy, using gears kind of just happens. There's not too much, like, I guess, narrative inciting that it's about to happen, per se. I remember I was reading a theory. I forgot what movie it was, but there was some movie where Luffy was fighting this giant machine and it squashed him. And then he had like steam coming off of him. And everyone was saying that's where Oda got this idea of Gear Second from, because it was very similar to what happened in the actual main series. But other than that, Luffy kind of just pulled out Gear Second and Gear Third at Enies Lobby without us knowing that he was working on it. We know that, Rayleigh saw Gear 4, and we know that he developed it with Rayleigh on Ruskina Island, I believe. Yeah,
Ruskina, yep.
So obviously Luffy hasn't shown us evidence that he has another gear in play, but again, if you look at the anime opening, they ruin a lot of things, in my opinion. That punch that Luffy is channeling right before he hits Kaido in the anime opening looks like he's transforming, in my opinion, to some degree. So that kind of gives me an opinion, like maybe something's coming. And with Luffy effectively learning a different method of utilizing his haki, it does make sense that he would be able to utilize that in a more efficient gear.
Especially since Snake Man was kind of the observation form, and I don't feel like OG Gear 4 is technically the advanced Ryuo advanced armament haki form.
No, I mean, like, so Snake Man, I think Luffy had to have, great observation haki, which is why he didn't even attempt that with Katakuri until he started to gain a grasp of Future Sight, because if you don't have a good grasp of that, Luffy's main tactic in Snake Man seems to be constantly extending his arm. He doesn't want to tangle his arm up. He has to actually predict trajectory.
Where it's going, yep.
So he has to use that. Snake Man seems to have the highest level of speed, and it doesn't seem to lose that much power. Like for Bounce Man or Bound Man or Pound Man, whatever people refer to that one as. So to me, that's definitely his highest echelon of Gear 4 at the moment. So the fact that he hasn't used that lets me know that he's not completely serious yet. But considering, as you just said, observation haki kind of led to Snake Man, it leads, that logic leads to saying that Rio should be able to demonstrate itself in a different type of gear. Whether it's Gear 5th, like a lot of people are thinking, or if it's just another delineation of Gear 4, I'm not sure.
That's where I'm actually leaning towards. I'm leaning towards more of like, okay, Tank Man's the defense, Bound Man is the normal, Snake Man is the observation, and I think we're just gonna get, like you said, another offshoot of that tree branch, whatever you want to call it, Tiger Man or whatever it may be.
Right.
So that's where I'm at with Luffy, and I'm pretty sure that's pretty much everything really juicy with Luffy this chapter. Nothing else really worth like diving into. Let's get into your guy. Let's get into Zoro.
All right.
What did you think of that attack? Because that attack not only had Kaido worried, it had Big Mom worried, and we haven't seen Big Mom be worried from even Luffy's. Well, Red Rock, she was like, why'd you get hit like that? But like, she didn't like say anything before because she didn't think he was gonna like tank that hit. This one was like, look, bro, I don't know what you're doing, but don't act like Red Rock with that one.
Right. So with that, I was very happy for a lot of reasons. One, I'm not sure if that was just haki or if that was like an actual flame. It reminded me of the same attack he used against Ryuma. Let me pull up the chapter real quick. So he called that Flying Dragon Blade. So that's the exact same technique he used against Ryuma to defeat him. So with that being the case, I have no doubt then that this flame is probably the same blue flame that he had against Ryuma. But if you look at the way that the flame is encompassing the sword, it reminds me of that clash between Whitebeard and Roger, where their haki was literally just leaking off of their blades. I'm not sure if it's at that level yet. I think it's just the blue flame. And we saw in the anime, Enma actually does have the effect of adding flames. When he cut the cliff that first time, you can clearly see Zoro created flames with that attack. Yep. So I don't want to say it's of that caliber yet, but it's
the beginning.
It's definitely the beginning. The feeling that I got and what pleased me is that one attack that Zoro did actually gave me Mihawk vibes. Like when I went back to Marineford and I remember when Mihawk tried to slash Luffy from a distance, he obviously missed and he cuts the entire frozen tidal wave. Again, nameless attack is casual from Mihawk. Zoro throws one attack like that and he's wheezing. So I'm happy because I'm finally starting to see Zoro get to that starting line. Like in my opinion, he threw one Mihawk slash and that exhausted him. So I'm seeing development. Now, I still don't know how to power scale him because we couldn't really say, okay, well, Zoro went all out against this opponent pre-Enma. So now that we know that he has Enma, he should be, around this caliber. But my bets are that was a Mihawk level slash.
To me, it and as crazy as it sounds, and we're gonna get in a Eustace Captain Kid, yes. But to me, and I know this might be a hot take, I don't know how you feel. It puts him second behind Luffy in the Supernova rankings, and that's not counting Blackbeard because we're talking worst generation.
Yeah,
but like. It puts him to me because Kid hasn't shown me anything and I'm tired of just giving Kid excuses. The only one I can maybe say is Law, but like, that's it. Like, and to me, it feels like after this fight is definitely the groundwork. And granted, we haven't seen Sanji and all those other dudes, but this is the groundwork to making them Rayleigh and Roger level.
Right. So, I was just debating Zoro's portrayal the other day on Twitter. And the thing that I got is obviously with Whole Cake Island, where Zoro's completely off screen, and then the entire post-time skip where Zoro seems to have had a very easy time. I don't think that Oda has spent a lot of time constantly trying to show us like Zoro's really at this level. So when he got to Wano, I don't, again, I'm not opposed to it, but it seemed like Oda said, okay, now's the time to let you guys know Zoro is at the top of the echelon of the Supernova. So he had Zoro run through 3 of them back to back to back, which is supposed, in my opinion, I read that as him saying, look, I'm going to throw Zoro on the rooftop with the Yonkos. Some people may say he doesn't deserve to be there yet. So I'm going to put a bunch of supernovas. So I'm going to show you Zoro's not at the bottom just because he's not a captain. He's not really at the middle. I personally, because I'm a Zoro fanboy, I put him at number 2 or number 3, but definitely with this chapter, you got to put him there. Now,
yeah, that's my thing. Because I was arguing before with you. Like I used to say, like last time we talked, I said Law and Kid are above him for me at this point.
Yeah,
but now it's like, I don't know, man.
It's weird because like like One Piece is not something that you can power scale as easily as other things. Like bounties are not a representation of power level. So on the surface, I say, okay, well, the captain should be better than the vice captains or the right-hand men. But it's like, I don't put all of those captains over Killer or Zoro. Killer and Zoro, I have over people like Bonnie, even though Bonnie's abilities are obviously broken.
Beige, Hawkins.
Hawkins, I mean, Zoro already beat Hawkins and all that. So it's just, he's definitely somewhere at the top. Now, for people who are saying like, oh, well, he just outclassed everyone. Not really, not really, but he's definitely showing he deserves to be up there. And to segue from that, I actually have no idea what Killer did, because as far as I'm concerned, aside from Luffy's, gattling and him getting his blows off and Gamma Knife, which did seem to, really hurt Kaido, it really felt like Killer and Zoro were putting in the work. But I have no idea what Killer did. Like, how did his blades enlarge? Like, when I look at that image, the blades themselves seem to be warping a little bit.
Yeah.
So it gives me this feeling like maybe, and swordsmen in anime, and specifically One Piece, have been known to do this. I think that might be Killer's way of magnifying his own killing intent. Similar, I'm not saying it's Ashura level, but I think that he manifested something, because it doesn't look like he's literally piercing Kaido and Kaido's just going to have 7 different places where he's been pierced. But that's what was shown. It looked like he was just slicing through Kaido, like he was just going to cut Kaido in half. And I'm like, yo, this is crazy.
I like your take on it. I was just thinking it was one of those where, in superhero and everything else, when something moves so fast, we see the after image of it. And we were seeing all the different after image of the blade. But I like your Ashura take, because that makes sense, because there are multiple blades and multiple pierce points.
Right. And I mean, he's spinning it so fast that, when you look at the panels right before it, you can't see his individual blades. Mm-hmm. So when you see these specific 7, I counted them, 7 different spots on Kaido's body where he's been sliced, or, not even like sliced, because he's obviously moving it almost like a saw, but it looks like he's been actually stabbed. So it's like, how is this happening? and I, looked very close at the enlarged blades. And like I said, they seem to be almost, what's the word?
Would you say vibrating?
Yeah. Like, the name is Sonic Slicer, right?
Yeah. Or something like that.
So it definitely has something to do with like vibrations or, speed and whatnot. So I'm curious as to what he did, but it was amazing. Like it really made me go back and say, okay, maybe I underestimated Killer when he said if I had my Punishers, it would be different. And Zoro was like, nah, it would have been the same thing. I'm like, yo, like that's completely different than anything we saw Kamazo do. Like Kamazo did not come anywhere near close to using a technique like that.
I agree.
So it would have been different. Maybe Zoro comes out on top anyway, because I'm a Zoro fanboy, but that was unexpected. I did not see that coming.
I did not see that coming, and that made me impressed from him, and that raised my thoughts of him as well. It kind of lowered my thoughts of his captain, though. I didn't look. I'm gonna be honest. I don't think that wrestling move did anything. Like I think he had the least amount of damage of all 5 of them. I'm like, bro, I can't keep saying you're Magneto, and you're not Magneto. I'm sorry. Like it's getting to the point where it's like, is Killer stronger than him?
I don't know. I think Killer, like Zoro, is very close to Kid. But I honestly, I can't even say that Oda's been giving Kid any decent treatment in reality. I mean, I don't know. The attack looked cool, but again, I've played a lot of different games. I've read a lot of different comics. Mm-hmm. I know a lot of people with magnetic abilities. And so one of the things that I was thinking about is, I don't know if you've ever played this game on the PlayStation, but there's a series called Infamous.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So Cole McGrath has electric powers, but those electric powers then begin to somewhat transition into the electromagnetic spectrum. So he's able to lift cars and other metallic objects, even though his abilities are electric. So I'm sitting here saying, okay, shouldn't Kid have some kind of resistance to lightning as well? Because, again, I'm not a science buff or anything, but I know magnetism and electricity go together. So it's like, does Kid need a hockey balloon? Does he need to get his ass whooped again? Obviously, Law has OP ability, so he can just straight up use Gamma Knife, bypass, and go straight to, Kaido's
inside. Yeah.
I don't think he hit his heart, obviously, but Kid, he has to do something.
He has to, man.
Narratively, he's supposed to be Luffy's equal, and he's not there yet. But I still have faith.
Oh, I still have faith too. It's just like, man, it's just not looking good for him. Like out of the 5, Oda, and you would think it would have been Killer, Oda's giving like Kid the worst treatment out of all 5 of them right now.
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing with the captains kind of being disrespected right now. You got Luffy and Zoro telling Law what to do. You've got Killer saying, oh, we actually have a chance because Luffy can damage Kaido. It's just like, okay, Kaido opened up his thing with the demolition slices, right? Mm-hmm. You've got Luffy who's dodging them. You've got Law who, teleported. Kid,
Zoro straight slices.
Zoro could have just dodged that, but I think he's like, let me see if I can just slice this slash and prove that I am, above the, like, if you're gonna come at me with a sword slash, nah. Yeah, I got to take that on and defeat that. Kid is like, I didn't know if he like separated his arms at first and
just let it hit him.
He let it hit it because it's magnetism, so you can just pull it back. So that was cool. It was like, okay, he doesn't have to dodge the slash as long as the slash doesn't hit him. It's all junk, so he can come back anyway. But that slam, like I was like, okay, you slammed Kaido and drag it into the ground. Okay. Everyone else bypassed his durability. I don't think he bypassed his ability. Let's go back to 1001 where you used Punk Vice and let's go back to like squishing him, but slamming him, like, come on.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. Like that wasn't even the best slam of Wano. Like Big Mom's still the best slam of Wano to Queen in the thing.
Yes.
So I'm just down on Eustace Kid right now. I have faith, but like, it's just not looking good for him.
I think Oda's doing it on purpose. I think he all wants us to completely downplay Kid, and then Kid's going to come up major at some point. Because if he doesn't, look, I've never really slandered Kid, and I don't really plan on it. But if I see slander after Wano and he doesn't do anything, look,
I'm not mad at it.
Yeah, I can't step up.
I can't defend him. I'm with you on that. Law looked good. Law just, like you said, Law just has the OP devil fruit and just.
Yep.
I feel like each captain's representing something different. Like Killer and Kid are representing the swordsmen and the non-devil fruit users. Luffy's doing the advanced armament hockey. We see Law as kind of the representative of the devil fruit. That's where I'm like, where does Kid stand in all of this?
Right.
So I don't know.
I don't know either. I mean, he and Luffy were both in Udon. They were shown to be at the same level. Kid asked Luffy right after Luffy took those plague bullets, he was like, hey, are you really about to fight Kaido again? And Luffy's like, absolutely. They seem to be on the same page, but Kid does not seem to be on the same level as Luffy. And I don't think that can continue. There's no way. There's no way.
I'm with you right now. I asked you this off air because I feel like this is the most important thing to discuss when it comes to this chapter. I asked you off air, who do you think was the MVP? You had the same answer as me. We're both on Big Mom. Now, I'm going to let you get your Big Mom thoughts out because I have a theory on what do you do with her? Because at this point, if she wasn't here, one could make the case that Kaido would get his ass whooped.
Yeah. Big Mom's definitely the MVP as of right now. I mean, she seemed to have tagged everyone. If Luffy wasn't, automatically, could just nullify her attacks, she would have tagged everyone and they would have had the upper hand. But, she seemingly took out Killer and Zoro. I know she tagged Law and Kid at some point. So she's definitely holding it down.
And this is without punching. This is just straight powers. This is not like bringing out the like sovereignty attack
at all. Like she is still kind of like playing support. Like Kaido was like, "Hey, let me have some fun," and Big Mom seems to step up whenever Kaido's might be in danger of getting like hit. She's like, "Oh wait, chill out." But she's still kind of in the background, just kind of laughing and causing natural disasters. But if she's out here throwing I can't even pronounce that. The sovereignty technique, people are going to be hurt. Like, I don't think Zoro's going to do the same thing he did to Kaido's demolition slash to Ikaku.
It's like Ikaku or something. I just call it sovereignty.
Sovereignty, yeah. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
She's just using Zeus too. Like, I mean, if she was out here saying, all right, I'm going to make Zeus, I'm going to use Prometheus, I'm going to start imbuing things that are not alive with my, soul. Like, she's chilling. She could be causing so much more chaos right now. And she's just kind of like, I'm just supporting you until you're ready, bro. Like,
yeah. No, 100%. And this is what leads me to this. I'm going to ask you how you feel.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see logically how both of them get defeated. I still can't see how it happens. And you brought up a great point that kind of helps my theory out of where the hell is their crew?
Yeah.
And my thought is this. The crew will come at some point soonish. Like right when the supernova are like getting hurt like bad. And it's like, all right, we got to get her out of here. And then we'll get a new Luffy form or whatever. We'll get hybrid Kaido and they'll fight and we'll be over with. And we'll see every other fight in the hall. But they will come because Katakuri, I do not believe is on Wano. We both agreed to this.
Right.
Where the hell is Blackbeard going? I think Blackbeard goes to Totland and Katakuri has to call him on the Din Din Mushi and she has to leave.
Yeah.
And that way, at the end of this, 2 Yonko died. Luffy gets the propel from, even though it's all 5 of them, he'll have the newspaper shit. But at the same time, I think Blackbeard kills Big Mom.
Yeah.
Everything what you say about her putting out all the souls and putting them out when you get the Yami no Mi that cancels it, and then you'll have her natural strength versus his earthquake, and I think he does it.
I can definitely see that. Before we even entered Wano, I was debating on like, what is Big Mom's story? I've, watched reviews, I've read theories. There's a whole lot of things. Some people think that her story is going to come to a conclusion in Elbaf because of, her history in Elbaf. Some people think that Chopper has to like heal her hunger pains because, she's obviously sick. So some people think that like her storyline is not going to come to a conclusion until Chopper does something to help her. You still have things like Katakuri is kind of not indebted, but like he fucks with Luffy now. He's like, you're kind of cool, man.
And that adds to my thing of like, once she dies from Blackbeard, Katakuri meets with Luffy, and that adds on, and depending on whatever happens to Shanks, that just raises the level of like, Blackbeard, we got to get him out of here.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely do not see two Yonko falling in this same arc. That doesn't make sense to me. That leaves way too much of a power vacuum, especially with the warlords being, dismantled. And then you lose two Yonko.
Especially since the other options on this thing aren't really ready. Like Luffy's the only one with real territory, quote unquote. Like you could say his different places on the Grand Line where he stopped, where he's become friends with him on the Kingdom. But like Law has no home.
Luffy has kingdoms in his back pocket. He's got Drum Island in his back pocket, Dressrosa in his back pocket, Alabasta in his back pocket, Princesses in his back pocket, Fishman Island he's claimed as his territory, and they love him. I mean, they don't even call Garp his name. They just call him Luffy's grandfather.
Mm-hmm.
So Luffy has what he needs. Like I said in our last review, Jinbei just joined publicly in front of Law and Kid. When you look at the Straw Hats as a crew, obviously, they're the main crew, but you can't even compare Kid and Law's crews to them. So they look and feel like a Shanks level crew. Like, when you remember Blackbeard v. Shanks in Marineford and how they lined up, and it was like, okay, like you can kind of see matchups there. You look at the Straw Hats and you look at a Yonko crew and you're like, okay, I see matchups here. This works. Kid has Killer and Heat, and it's like, who else is on his crew that we actually know for real?
Yeah.
Law has Beppo and
John Bart.
Yeah. And then everyone else is just a non-combatant doctor. So it's like, okay, Law's broken, but who else can really step up and fill the void of an entire Yonko other than Luffy now? I don't see that. And so, to go back to the other point about how there's no way we're done. Do you think this is the event that the Straw Hat Fleet is supposed to be getting involved in? Because the narrator was like, oh yeah, in the future, there's going to be a great event. Like that could be the big war at the end of the series. That could be this war. I mean, they don't know as far as I'm concerned.
It just depends on, what you think like happens with the fights downstairs, the fight with like, I didn't think the Grand Fleet would come for this one. I'm gonna be quiet. I'm gonna be honest with you.
I mean, like I said, you've got Marco. You've got, they already gave us thousands of fodder to fight. Kaido's thousands of fodder. So it's kind of like, okay, we have a good setup. It doesn't need to be completely even. I don't think that, Whitebeard during Marineford had as many forces as the Navy.
Yeah.
So the Straw Hat Fleet doesn't really need to be here. It was just like, okay, you've got Big Mom's quote unquote fleet is somewhere doing whatever.
That's the thing.
You've got, everyone on the bottom level for the most part seems to be matched up with who they need to be matched up with. Obviously, I still think Sanji needs to get to Queen.
Yeah.
Or even King at this point, because, the black suit kicking fire-based thing still matches up with King, even though Marco is the Flame Bird versus the Flame Bird. So
it matches up. It just depends on whether you think Queen has a connection to Judge or not.
Well, we know Queen has a connection to Judge to some degree, because he was like a Vinsmoke, like, Yeah, I got issues with that. And his body seems to be augmented as well. So he might also be connected to Vegapunk, Vinsmoke, Judge. who knows? But, you know, the Queen, the moniker of Queen being a man, you know, is also kind of like the whole Okama Island. Not really, because I don't think Queen goes that way like that. But
I get what you're saying, especially since Sanji's Mr. Prince.
Yeah, and Mr. Prince and the Queen, it's all there to a degree. So it seems like the bottom levels have good matchups already. I don't really know what the Starhead Fleet would do, but like where, like, you really think the Navy's not going to get involved at all?
Oh,
like,
that's
so much shit can just happen at any given moment. Like,
yeah, it depends on how long you think this battle is, because like, I'm holding Sakazuki to his word of like, nah, we're not getting into this. like
right.
It just, man, because you bring it also, it depends on that and the Big Mom fleet. It depends on what happens with those two things.
Not just that, the freaking warlords. Like at any given point, we could cut away from what's going on. And it's like, look, my take is Mihawk is Yonko level. So how many people and who did they send after Mihawk? Like that's not low level. Boa Hancock, I think Kobe narratively, there's no reason for Kobe to lose per se, because that just kind of looks stupid. But at the same time, I don't know how Bo is going to lose to Kobe. So it's like the Marines are pretty held up right now. I don't really know how they're going to show up, but I'm lost. And then you've got the Revolutionaries. They're not going to show up, obviously, but what the heck is going on? There's so many factions moving around right now that I literally have no idea who's showing up. So I'm perfectly fine with if all the pieces are, you know, who are currently there are the pieces that are going to be there. But so many other factions could possibly show up.
Yeah. And that's my thing. It's like, I'm cool with the people that are there, minus the wild card of Big Mom. I just don't know how. And narratively, I feel like you got to get her away.
You got to get her away, but we also know Big Mom is scheming. So at some point, she could, you know, perhaps lead or help lead to the downfall of Kaido, because she might be like, well, this is my chance to, you know, let these people take Kaido out or something and then profit off of that. So Big Mom is an element that I don't think is going to be staying around the entire time in the avenue that she's in right now.
That's another good way of doing it, where it's like, okay, Kaido is kind of damaged to a certain degree. She takes out, with the help of them, like Luffy's down, all these people are down. And in that moment, that's where she tries to, you know, stab him in the back. And then they take each other out in some capacity, or like one of them gets taken out and the other is left to be dealt with by these five. It'll just be interesting to see how they do it. But I'm stamping strong on my theory that she's gonna leave due to Blackbeard, and that propels Blackbeard and Luffy to be to that, you know, that upper echelon. Anything else you got for the this week?
I don't really think so. I was very pleased with the chapter, but I have, and this is a good thing, I have no idea what to expect coming up. I don't even know if Zoro and Killer are conscious right now.
Yeah.
I believe they are, because, I mean, I just believe it, but a Big Mom lightning strike is nothing like what Nami has done.
And it's not, I don't even think it's what Inaru's done.
I don't think so either. I mean, Big Mom used Zeus on Whole Cake Island, and she wasn't giving names. She was just dropping thunderbolts, and those things look dangerous. Yep. These have names to it, like Indra of all things. Like, come on, Indra and Ashura. Like, I'm not saying, you know, Zoro's gonna face off against Big Mom because she's using Indra and he has Ashura. But like, that's every time you hear the name Ashura or Indra in any media, you know it's God tier. So she's not playing around, and she's just chilling in the background. So I do think that she's going to let Kaido get messed up, and then she's going to be like, you kind of weak right now, bro.
Yeah, it's my time. It's my time right now. I like that. I'm with you. Also, my final question is, when do you think we go back below?
To be real, I think next chapter.
Oh, you think next? Oh, okay. All right.
I mean, I think it's just like Oda to leave us with a whole bunch of questions, because we don't really know what's going on right now down below, and we don't know what's going on right now with Zoro Killer. Law, Kid. We don't know any of that. I mean, it left off on Luffy gattling Kaido. I don't think that's going to be anything major. Kaido's going to get right back up again. He's hurt, obviously, but he's going to get up again. Mm-hmm. So that's not a surprise. So if he gets back up and we have a third rooftop chapter, I mean...
Yeah, how are you pushing the story forward? Yeah, no, I'm with you. I can see it to where like they show one panel where like Luffy's standing there. We're seeing maybe a little bit of damage of Kaido and everybody else is down and like, all right, meanwhile, and then we just drop
it. Exactly. Just like that. That's what I'm expecting right now. And whether we go down below or we go somewhere else, I don't know. I don't think Oda's going to do a major cut away from Wano anytime soon to check in on the warlords or any of the other things that is going on in the moving world. But I think it's time we check in on Jinbei versus Sasaki.
Also, it's time to end Act 3.
Yeah, all of that. I mean...
Like, we've been in Act 3 since 2019, which I didn't realize, which is crazy.
Oh, wow. Yeah, when you put it in that perspective, it's definitely time. And it's also time that shit goes sideways. Like, it's looking really good for the Supernovas right now. Like, I know Kaido's going to get back up. Big Mom's fine. But, I mean, 1001, 1001, and 1002, they've just been beating up on Kaido. They've been beating up on him. It's like, Kaido, when are you going to really put them on their ass? Like, I know you can.
And like you said, when's that hybrid form coming? Because like Oda has that in his back pocket just ready to throw out because that's his strongest form of, if you believe like how zones have worked thus far, then like and also it's time to leave the blast like fighting style. If you want me to be honest about it, like I lightning, throwing Boro breaths, all that's cool. But when we getting down to them paws.
Right. I mean, I was just talking to my homie King on Twitter, and I was like, if you remember the flashback to when Oden and Scabrous were fighting him, Kaido literally said something to the effect of like, how many blast breaths are y'all going to take? Like, y'all just keep tanking them. And it's like, are you just sitting here shooting fire the whole time? Are you not actually going down there and beating them yourself? Like, you're just sitting back in your dragon form shooting blast breath? You know Kinemon can cut that. What are you doing? And if Kinemon can cut that, I have no doubt Oden could have cut it. So it's like, what are you doing? You saw Zoro cut it? What are you doing? Luffy tanked it. Zoro cut it. It's time to retire that move.
It's time to not only retire that one, you see the wind sights don't work, and you know the lightning doesn't work. And why would you do lightning when Big Mom's lightning, I assume, is stronger based upon the fact that it's amplifying Zeus's abilities? Like you said, it's time to either get back in that human form and hockey up, or get into your hybrid form.
Yeah, I mean that, but like, why are Kaido and Big Mom not using hockey right now? Like, maybe they are, but it's not being shown. Like, I remember in Whole Cake when Luffy actually punched Big Mom, she did blacken her fist.
She did.
To block it. But it's like, I have no doubt Kaido could turn into a black dragon if he wanted to. Like, if he really wanted to, he could turn into a black dragon.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Yep, I'm with you 100%. So it's like,
where do we? In the claws, something.
So, yeah, like all these strikes, and granted, they're hitting inside of his body past his scales. And maybe Kaido, like we were talking about last week, is just the complacency of it. He didn't get stronger. He's okay with his scales. And it goes back to what you said about the flashback. Odin told him, you got to get stronger because in 20 years, you're going to get your ass whooped. So it's like, he didn't do that. So maybe this is all leading to that. But it's just interesting to see where do we go from here. But that's all I got this week, Christian. Next week, no break. So we'll be back reviewing this. So, we'll be back here. And then the following week, we'll do a theory. So
now I do have one thing, because I have no idea what's going to go on with this. But what is Yamato doing? Like, is it her job to just keep Shinobu and Momo safe? Is she just going to be chilling the rest of the time? Like, she's a whole dragon, I think. Herself,
or a dinosaur or something. She's something.
She's something, and she has her own Thunderboggler with her own club. Like she definitely gave me. She's Jinbei, Zoro, Luffy level. So when is she gonna move? Because she already gave me Straw Hat vibes. That's a whole nother discussion. But
no, I'm with you.
I'm also curious what kind of move she's going to be making.
Also, how much farther are we away from the flower capital? That's another thing.
This whole thing, we're moving towards the flower capital. Like,
so is it like, do they have to beat them before they get there, or is like
no. Okay, that's where I'm full on ZKK. Like, once they get to the flower capital, something's got to happen where everyone can see it, and it has to happen. So the conclusion is not going to happen until we get to the flower capital. It has to happen.
Because my thing is like, what's stopping Kaido from once right when they get there, he just drops it? Like, how does it work? So those are more questions that need to ask. And this arc makes me realize have you heard the thing of how Oda, everything leading up to this point was like story that grew on, but this is the story that was originally supposed to be told. It makes sense when you look at it, how each of the early ones have a piece of this one. For example, the Skypiea, the bird cage. This is basically the bird cage. The lightning stuff with Inaru. You can do Enies Lobby and Water 7 vibes to this. Thriller Bark. It makes it seem like everything before this leading up to it was just so we could get to this point to make it make sense. And I know that's how a story works, but like, I'm just saying, I feel like this really was his original story idea to get to.
I've never heard that, but I believe it because Monsters is, the pre-One Piece, one of the pre-One Piece pieces that he worked on, and is literally slaying a dragon over the capital. So the idea has been there since before Romance Dawn.
Yep.
So it's like, okay, I definitely think that makes sense. Like, everything else has been leading up to that. Obviously the Inaru thing was referenced here. I'm, again, very... This is one criticism I do have for Big Mom. I'm like, look, you're not the smartest sometimes. Luffy's made of rubber and you still use lightning on him. Like, Enel didn't know. He was shocked. But
you knew.
You've done reconnaissance on Luffy. You know who he is. You know what his devil fruit is. And you're like, why didn't that work? And then she looked completely shocked, like, I made of rubber. She's like, what?
Yeah. Maybe she's, like you said, maybe she's just dumb.
She can be intelligent when she wants to, but she has some really stupid moments sometimes.
That's a fact.
If she would have been like, oh yeah, or I got to use something else, I would have been like, okay, that's fine. But she was like, what? Like, that's a shock. I'm like,
complete shock.
Come on now.
Yeah, that blew my mind. But I'm excited that we'll be back here next weekend. No break. Thank the stars. But Christian, tell the people where they can follow you at on social media.
Yes, sir. All right. So Instagram, follow me at Arc Season, ARCHCZN, Sorry, I can't spell today. And then on Twitter, Design Season LLC or Arc Season again. So those are the places you can reach me.
Y'all make sure y'all go follow Christian, and we'll be back next week reviewing One Piece. Y'all be on the lookout for that. Until then, peace.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Peace.